I think as a lifelong nerd and fangirl, I knew this on a subconscious level, but I don't think I ever fully grasped just how hard the tabletop gaming space gets down prior to Gen Con.
That's it. That's my intro.
Hi, I'm Amanda. You're watching Swell Entertainment, and today we are talking about Gen Con. It's just the biggest event in gaming. It's just the way I've been describing this to people because they're like, what's Gen Con? Or they knew about Gen Con and they're like, you're going to Gen Con? Oh my God, tell me how it is. It was either one of the two. They'd either never heard of it or it was like this mythical like beast that they had to conquer one day. Most people had not been to it. However, I will say the person that was advocating the most for this review was Sparkly. Sparkly is my mod and my digital assistant. And Sparkly, for the last 2 years, is regularly like, so Gen Con is here if you would like to go. Gen Con? There's room in your calendar if you want to go to Gen Con. I know a lot of you have recommended Gen Con to me or that you've requested a Gen Con review, but I want you to know no one was fighting harder for Gen Con than Sparkly. They hold that crown. To the point that when I agreed to come to Gen Con, Sparkly offered to make me a starter guide for Gen Con, to which I had to tell them, no, you know how this works. I need you to not do that. And Sparkly was like, okay, it can be a little overwhelming at first though. And I said, I understand, but that's kind of important for me to experience on my own for the review. And then I got here and I looked around for an hour trying to find Will Call and I couldn't find it. Okay, I'm in Indianapolis. Hi, that's where Gen Con is. It's currently Saturday night. There is one more day of the event. I've done 3 days. I will go first thing in the morning as well for a few hours before my flight, but I feel like I have seen enough. I have enough of an understanding, but I do feel like I have enough and I've experienced enough to do a review of this. When I got here, the event was sold out, which apparently normally does not happen. Normally it doesn't happen till about Thursday that the event sells out, apparently. So the fact that it was sold out as I was getting here and that every single door had signs saying it was sold out so that you knew you could not go inside and try and buy a ticket. Crazy. So this is the Gen Con program. There was also a digital one online, which I do appreciate doing both. Let me show you how many different spaces are in this thing. You have the exhibit hall, okay, one map. This is the Indiana Convention Center first floor map. I think I called this the exhibit hall and the other one I was calling the exhibitor hall. This is a whole separate place that is connected to the other one, but still. The second floor, upstairs of the convention center. Here's the map of the area. It's a pretty comprehensive map, I'll give them this. So here's the stadium, and here's the block part, it's where the food is. We've got the actual floor of the stadium. You could play games on the field. That's here. Then there's the guest elevators to the bottom level where there's a tunnel that has more vendors. That's the makers area. The Crown Plaza, which apparently has escape rooms, seminars, workshops, RPGs, and LARPs. Then we have the Hyatt Regency. That's where I'm staying. There's the second floor and the third floor. There's board games and RPGs. A whole company has taken over my hotel. And also, even if you weren't with the company, people have been playing games till like midnight down in the lobby. JW Marriott, all 3 floors have something going on. The Marriott was there today. 2 floors of things going on. I think that's everything. Wrong. Omni Severin. RPGs, LARPs, Mega Games, first floor, second floor, basement, apparently. And Union Station, LARPs, RPGs, special events, entertainment. Second floor, a mezzanine, and a first floor. And the Westin. Is there more? No, we're done. My point is that there's a lot going on here. I tried to go to most. I did not go to everything. I went to 3 of the hotels, and I think that was enough for me to handle, okay? Got here Thursday. My flight got in the afternoon, not too long before things wrapped up, but I knew I wanted to go get my badge the first night at the very least and like do like a cursory walk just to try and familiarize myself before I attacked it on Friday. I start looking for my badge and this thing tries to be helpful with Will Call. It's not. Where Will Call was just like 1 turn away. There was not good signage. Apparently, they think that they don't need signage because it's like the front of the convention center, but every door to the convention center is open. You can get in at any point. You need more signs. And the signs that you have, incredibly unhelpful. I got all the way to the end of like, I think it was hall D or B or whatever it was, okay? Whatever one was at that one end, okay? Until I turned around and realized there was a sign saying, will call that way. And then I got that way. And then there was no more signs pointing me to will call. So I was walking around. It wasn't until I didn't have a mask on at this time, okay? Because I wore a mask most of the weekend. I put a mask on not long after this. And someone goes, sorry, hi, Swell? Hi, love your videos. And I was like, thank you so much. Where the fuck do I get my badge? I don't think I swore at her, but like she had her badge and she was like, yeah, oh, it's over here. I can help you. And her boyfriend walked me to go get where will call was, where I could get my badge. So thank you to you two. We got a photo. It was cool. You were helpful because I was definitely walking around looking a fool.
It took me a disturbing amount of time to find roll call.
So you can enter the building without a badge. You just can't go into any of the halls or any of the rooms without a badge. Apparently here as well is where you could go and get tickets or reserve tickets or at least pick up tickets. I don't know. I didn't know I had to get other tickets for other things. A lot of the other things were free, but you still needed a ticket. And then by the time I found out that I would need a ticket, I would have to go all the way back to will call, which I was not going to do. The main thing that happened there was the Writers Symposium, which I was like, oh, this could be fun. I didn't go inside there because I didn't have a ticket. And then I asked someone nearby, I was like, hi, people have tickets. Where do I get one? How do I achieve this? And they told me to go to the stadium or go to will call, which were both very far. And I was like, once I go there, I'm not coming back, you know? So there was apparently tickets over at will call that I never got. Anyways, today when I was walking around, I hear behind me in the artist area, swell? Which happens from time to time where someone just kind of says swell to see if I'll react. Understandable. I look like every brunette with glasses and I was wearing a mask. So I slowly turn because what if they're not saying Swell Entertainment and they're just like, that's swell, you know? Like I was in high school, who knows? And she was like, oh, it is you. You're right. You are shorter in person. I'm just catching strays. We talked for a little bit and she told me, she was like, oh, you are at Gen Con. I figured you would come at some point. And I was like, oh yeah, no, my assistant loves it. And also like, I do get a lot of like requests for Gen Con. And she said she had hesitated to recommend Gen Con because she knows exactly what my critiques would be and they have yet to get better. And I was like, ooh, what do you think my critiques are going to be? And guess what? She was right for two of them. I have more things to note, but like these were the two main ones. This is the first one that she got. Security, they're there to like make sure you have a badge. That's it. No metal detector, no bag check. And like also they're selling knives in like one booth had like actual weapons. I don't think anyone was able to just like walk out with them. I do think they were secured, but like, nothing. Really? She was like, I don't know how you would do it. I think now, especially because giant events like Anime Expo and the like do bag checks and security checks, okay? The way you do it is that, because they had scanners. They had them here. They just didn't use them. I saw them off to the sides, pushed out of the way. You could have done that. It's crazy to me that you don't do anything, okay? And like security, you need more. You need more volunteers, if there were any. You need event staff and identifiable clothing. Like there's no one there was no one that I feasibly identified as event staff. Aside from at one point, I saw someone at the block party walking around that I think was wearing a shirt that had something like event something on it. I don't remember what it was. I didn't take a photo because he was like right in front of me. That was the only time I saw anyone. And that was my same criticism at, San Diego Comic-Con. These are massive events. Surely you can do something. That was the one. And then the crowding. I was never here at opening each day just because sometimes I don't need to deal with that. But basically people would enter into the convention center and line up and fill up the crowd. I have a few videos from other people's posts. And then once the exhibitor floor would open, the expo hall floor would open.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Gen Con 2025 and the annual running of the nerds. It is an affectionate term for all of these wonderful people who are board game enthusiasts who cannot wait to see what is going to be behind these exhibit hall doors.
And like, that's crazy. But it's kind of the same thing that Anime Expo does, where there are times where Anime Expo will let the crowd fill up so that they can get that viral, look how many people want to be at our event, photos and videos and all of that. Can it be unsafe? Yes. I criticize Anime Expo less because they do security checks when they do those things. All it takes is one person having a rough day, bro. Like, it really just takes one person being like, where could I cause a problem? You know?
It's like busy, but it's not like San Diego Comic-Con crazy. It's like afternoon at Anime Expo crazy, if that makes sense. You know? Like, I can move, but like it's a little crowded in some spots.
Overall, for this event itself, Friday I did my normal, going up and down every single aisle, seeing as many booths as I possibly could. There was a lot of people here, the same way there was a lot of people and a lot of crowding at Comic-Con. However, the way this is more bearable and I'm complaining less about the crowds and I had a much more enjoyable time here is because this wasn't a buy stuff fest. There were things to do here. A major part of this event is game demos. You're more likely to buy a game if you've played it once. That's a statistic I just made up, but it sounds right. If you know the mechanics, if you've seen someone play it, if you've seen a YouTuber play it, if you've played it and your kid seems to like it, you're probably gonna buy the game. So a big part of this event is just getting people inside of booths to play a round of a game that they are trying to sell. So by nature, you have more people in booths here than booths at Comic-Con because people there are just in line to buy stuff. I don't think there was ever really a line to buy things that I personally witnessed. What would happen a few times, especially in the artist alley areas, or the artist alley, I think is what they call it. There was a few clumps or a few like little small groups and lines for people to buy art from artists. But there was never really a time, I would say, where people were like lined up to like buy anything from any other major booths. So overall, the crowding here was much more bearable. Plus, this event is so big and so spread out, not just in the let's go do free stuff in, you know, the Gaslamp district, like in Comic-Con in San Diego, but here, like, there's a whole separate hall, that whole extra exhibit hall, like Hall C, Hall B, all that, is all like tabletop games where like some booths are selling stuff, but like that's all actual gameplay. Like you register to play those games. Some people in the stadium even were like just reserving tables just so they could pull out the games that they had bought already and just start playing them. Some spots, in order to play, you had to have a receipt for the games that you were playing with. That was like for the Gundam cards and things like that. But like the nature of this event was very much like, we need space to game, so that's why we have so much space here, you know? So it made the crowds much more bearable. So the crowd critiques, I have less of a problem with, okay, overall. The security issues, I'm on guard, you know? Like I'm what's going on? You know, ready to swing, okay? If there's a problem. The same way that your giant game backpacks were swinging at my face. So a thing here, I almost want you guys to start treating this event like it's for furries. There was a lot of furries here, so like it partially is for furries, okay? But furry conventions, at least the one that I've been to, I do need to go to more. I acknowledge you guys keep requesting them, another one. The furry event that I went to, by nature, had better space management because their average attendee needs more space. They have tails and things. Poor visibility. Here, a very common thing that I saw sold at a couple of booths, but also a lot of people just had, were game backpacks. And I'm not talking like a backpack with like a video game on it. No, I'm talking about a backpack that literally holds board games and like a dice compartment and things like that. Those were huge. Like picture like a big box that has like this, like you need a wide load stamp or something like a tag hanging off the back of that thing. Because with the crowds as well, I'm 5'2". I got whacked by about 5 this weekend. I will say, it's been a while since I've experienced just kind of blatant misogyny. A lot of people here were real chill. Every vendor I spoke to, incredible. Some of the attendees, fuck you guys. Just a few, just a handful. Just enough where it was like comical. It wasn't like active. It was just like, you're making it clear that you don't give a shit about me. I get it. Whatever. You're with your girlfriend, okay? But I don't think she would like it either of you whacking me with your backpack on purpose. You know, like fascinating stuff. There was a few things like that this weekend where I was just like, in 2025?
Okay, they went by way too fast, but someone just passed by me and they had corn in their bag. I don't know what that's about.
Overall, I had a really great time. I played games with some people, a lot of game demos, and I heard a couple of people talking about this. Some game demos are much easier to pick up than others. And I am one of those people where I can either get a game in one round of explanations while you're just telling me about it, and then I need to play it once and you need to explain it 6 times for me to understand it. So sometimes, like, just my brain is annoying, and the mental gymnastics of learning the mechanics of a game that I know I personally am not going to buy, not the most fun. A lot of them were fun. I did screenshot a few games. I'm not a super big tabletop game person, but a few of my friends are. Everyone was like very calm and nice and like really encouraging about playing their games and like, oh no, we got to do this instead type of thing. This is also a very big mixed ages event, I would say. Lots of kids. Lots of babies and toddlers holding the giant 3D printed dice. I saw a sign that said that strollers and carts are not allowed, or that carts are not allowed and push things are not allowed on the exhibit hall floor during operating hours. The way around this is have a kid. They don't care. I also don't know how they would fully enforce it, because like, what are you gonna do? Tell me, hey, don't bring that. I'm inside already. What are you gonna do? With this security? I don't know. I did hear from a local, though, that apparently security requests Gen Con because, like, the attendees are, like, very nice and respectful. And some of these crowds are, like, really respectful. When I bring up, like, that weird men being weird thing, it is, like, a small subset. But it was enough where I'm like, interesting. Oh, the other thing that I witnessed, and I brought this up to someone, this is probably an event, and maybe this is just, like, the fact that there's a ton of people here, but also there are pockets where it's like I can like clearly make out like a couple here in front of me. The amount of straight presenting couples, I should say, that I witnessed arguing these 3 days. Interesting. I don't know what it means, but it was a lot more than I've ever witnessed at any other event in like close proximity to each other, which I was just like, I don't know if this means something, you know? Like it's just one of those, it's an observation that I'm sharing with you, okay? That's all.
This is the hallway upstairs. More stuff. I'm looking around. There's this big hall in here where they're gaming as well.
Oh, I saw some really cool, like fun, like special dice. I saw a Christmas tree dice. So many dice, all the dice, just so many dice. A lot of Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering cards, by the way. Oh, Cookie Run has a card. That was like probably the most surprising thing about this whole weekend was like me finding out that like every major anime of the last 2 decades has like a card game that I didn't know about. So that's apparently how I learned that there's like a lot of every card game is like actually fairly successful. So Swell Entertainment card game for different conventions and stuff, like Swell's Convention Run or something like that. Coming to you 2028. Maybe I can get 2027. Maybe. I don't know. I'll run that by the team. The Artists Alley is one side. And then next to them is I think they called it Authors Alley. And then the Makers Alley is the tunnel underneath. A few makers I heard say that they definitely prefer to be down there than being up on the expo hall floor, and that they have done both and they prefer it down there. So something to say. Mostly they said that like the circulation was better, which it did get pretty warm in the expo hall floor, but like it wasn't like ever like hard to breathe or anything like that. It got warm, but like it didn't get like boiling hot and unbearable. I thought when I embarked on my no by year that the hardest people to say no to, especially with the amount of conventions that I go to, would be artists. Mainly because a lot of my audience is artists, and a lot of you I would like to buy things from, but I knew I can't. However, usually it hasn't been a problem, frankly, mostly because a lot of artists do a lot of tabling. And so I think they're used to people being like, cool, thank you, and then walking away. Okay, there's not like anything else. They're not like dragging you over to their booth type of thing. Their art kind of speaks for themselves. Books don't always speak for themselves. And so I have found that it's a lot harder to walk away from authors at events because a lot of them are very much trying to get you to come over and talk to them. Here, there was a lot of pity marketing here, and I don't like it. Today, the entire day, someone was standing with a cardboard sign that he wrote on in cardboard saying, please buy these books so I don't have to move them. He stood there the whole day. I was warned that there was at least 2 vendors who I should not make eye contact with because they would not let me walk away from their booth until they told me the plot of every single one of their books and would basically try and get me to buy a book. Which, like, I get, but also, I feel like there's better ways to do this. Hey, do you like mysteries that take place in a fantasy setting? Let me tell you about this. Or do you like this type of book? You know, great. Let me tell you about this book. I think because a lot of authors only table a couple of times a year versus like a lot of artists table at a bunch of events in a season. And so it's a little bit more of like, I guess, not a financial commitment because I think it can go either way with like artists and authors, but like, I don't know, you bought books for this specific event, then you have to ship them back, you know, type of thing. So it's like you may think you're going to sell out and then you don't. Also, I feel like when you're coming to an event like this, locals may want to be comfortable with buying books and then bringing them back in their cars. But like if I have to ship back stuff or if I have to drive back stuff and I'm already buying games, that's already a box that's taking up space in my luggage. I don't know if I want to add the weight of a book. I wouldn't say that this is, you know, unique to Gen Con or anything like that. I've noticed this at a couple of different events lately that have like an author space. But this is a behavior trait of like I need you to buy these books. Please buy these books. Like kind of air. Not everyone in this area was doing this. I want to make that abundantly clear. Some were like very chill and we're just kind of like, hi, and then kept walking, you know, type of thing. Versus being like, you can pick them up too. You don't just have to look at them. You know, there was that. I would like to stop and flip through your book, but it's like I add, okay, well, that's going to take me another 30 minutes now to get through this area, blah, 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 blah. You know, like it's becoming a pattern that I'm noticing at a lot of author spaces within bigger conventions like this. So something I wanted to know because this is something I'm noticing. Oh, a book that wasn't here that I am interested in, which I do feel like I want to make a video on this. Have you guys heard of The Last Lumerian? That I am convinced the woman secretly won the lottery because I don't know how this makes sense. She has been at pretty much every major California event in the last 2-3 years, I would say. She always has a big booth. She has cosplayers. They're often giving away books just for signing up for the mailing list. And then I started reading the book and I'm like, okay, this isn't bad, but like, I've never heard anyone talk about this book. No one's ever recommended it, but like she keeps having these giant, big booths at events. Anyways, I don't know if she has a card game or anything like that, but like, I don't know. This seems like something that she could be at, but I guess maybe it's not the same thing. I don't know. I feel like I just wanted to bring up The Last Lumenian so that you guys can motivate me to finish reading the book so that I can do a video on this because I have so many thoughts on this book and like her presence at all these events because she's basically becoming like, you know, those DNA hair tools. Like every major event, there'll be like a hair tool booth that's like, hi, let me curl this one strand of hair for you. Isn't that amazing? Buy this $60 curling iron. Actually, for you, $50. I'll do that for you. Don't tell anyone though. I can do that for you. You know, those ones that are at like a bunch of conventions.
I've walked the entirety of the exhibit hall and expo floor. And now I'm going to go back to the stadium where I was yesterday looking for my badge and see what else is around.
The stadium was really cool. Walking through the fields where obviously you're not touching the field, but like walking through the field area where they're playing a bunch of games is really cool. In the convention hall as well, for the convention center, there's a bunch of offshoot rooms where a lot of the booths that are out on the floor also have a space where you can like actually like buy more of the stuff and like actually go and play the games and things like that. I only ever went in these rooms when I had a badge, but since this was not in the expo hall floor, I don't know if you could go in here without a badge. Maybe. So I don't know how much they enforce it on those rooms because it would be smart if it's like, we know some people without badges are going to show up because they can walk around this area. Might as well see if we can sell things to them as well. Could be smart. Oh, there was also a giant area where they did card stacking. And tonight at 10:30, they're going to break all the card stacks. I think they're live streaming it. I will be watching.
Oh my God.
With this amount of people, I just don't think there's any other option for food. Like the food lines were deranged, obviously, but I think that's to be expected with an event of this scale. Again, I recommended this with, you know, some other events. You know, a way to break this up would be to have more smaller booths, but the convention center obviously only, if you utilize every single inch of the convention center. So I don't know where else you would put like any smaller booth spots to get smaller snacky stuff. And a lot of the hotels that things have events in for the Gen Con itself have restaurants and things like that as well. Today I just ended up coming back to my hotel to have lunch because every line was like 80 people long. At the Marriott, while I was trying to get into the Writers Symposium and I was looking around for it, I stumbled into an auction room where they were auctioning off older games and older pieces of games. I think while I was sitting there, some dude in total spent $3,000. And it would be like $20-$30 increments. But like it was interesting to sit there and just see these people go back and forth. And then next to it was the consignment shop, where you would check your bag and go and walk through and see old games that people had returned and things like that, and like flip through them, which is cool. Oh, there's this thing called VIG, Very Important Gamers. That's apparently $1,000 ticket. It's kind of like a lot of the old guard, according to the person that I spoke to who's been here a lot. They also get a special block of rooms, and they have a lounge. Apparently, overall, with Gen Con, the response that I heard from a lot of people is that they really much want it to be like, you don't go alone for the first time. You go with someone who's been before, and they show you the ropes. Versus, like, making it super clear for newbies type of thing. Which, I mean, it's working for them, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, that's deranged, you know, because obviously it's working. Like, you guys are this mystical thing. It's just interesting to see, like, the little casual misogyny that I witnessed here and there, you know? And then just, like, the, oh, you didn't know you needed a ticket type of thing? No, I didn't know. How was I going to figure that out? Should have taken Sparkly's starter guide, I guess. But, you know, that was kind of the point. The artist that did this is actually tabling here. They have like a whole spread on her as well, which is cool. This is super sick. A lot of like really cool mimic stuff out here. A lot of cool Eye of the Beholder stuff. A bunch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games, apparently. Dice. Got tempted a few times. Didn't, but thought about it. Just so many dice booths. Lots are really cool. Also, metal dice. I'm so curious. Do you guys think metal dice roll well? Because I don't think they do. It rolls poorly in a way that irks me, you know? Like, is it just one of those, like, cool collector dices to have type of thing? Or are you guys, like, actually playing with, like, the heavy metal dice? Comment down below, gamers. So, to get to the tunnel that leads to the Maker's Alley that leads to the stadium, you walk through the Hall of Pinball Machines, which is super sick. There's no ventilation in there. Do you understand what I'm implying? Just move through here swiftly if you're not going to game. If you're going to game, maybe wear a mask. All I'm saying. That's it. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
There has got to be a better way to do that, or at least have people like organizing the crowd so that there is paths to walk by. The amount of like loud, deep sighs, like because the people trying to get by were blocking other people's views. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. You're sitting on the floor. And I didn't even realize they're still like coming through over there, I think. That's the middle of this hall as well as the cosplay parade. Like there's got to be a better way to do this.
Would I come back? Yes. I do think this would be fun to come back with a group though, you know, like a group of people that are like really into tabletop gaming. I have a couple of friends that are really into tabletop gaming, so I can see that being like a fun group trip here. But can I see myself coming back alone? Probably not, but that's okay. Not for me. That's okay. Maybe I'll come back when Swell's Con Crunch comes back. I'm just coming up with names. Because apparently that's where the money is. No, I'm kidding. Amanda's going to sell out and do a money grab for a card game. Overall, had a good time. It's just little tweaks. Like security is something where it's like, I think so many scanners nowadays, I get it. You have these crowds, but like other events do it. I don't think there's a reason you can't do it. You know, you just have the scanners going. So many of them are very well done now where you could just have people walk through and then, hey, flag the person who set off the scanner. Let's check your bag. You're good. It's a power bank. Go on in, you know? I think it's doable. It's going to be a learning curve, but it's doable. If you're going to have volunteers or anything like that, I think they need to be in more identifiable clothing. It was very hard for me to clock them, if any of them were even here. Same with organizers and things like that. I think that's really going to be it. Have you ever been to Gen Con? Were you one of the people that was in my email submitting Gen Con as a request? What are your thoughts on lack of really much any form of a security check at events? Let me know. Comment down below. Reminder, I stream on Twitch. Reminder that Swell Entertainment is now available on Spotify. Reminder, check out Girly Pop Go if you'd like to see more car and motorsport content. Shout out to my channel members. If you'd also like to join channel memberships, you can go and click join down below. If you'd like to follow me on all social media, that'll be all up here. And that's me to have a day. Goodbye. Roll on. That's not a saying. God. Roll on? Your turn? Your turn would work. Your turn. Your move. Roll on. What? Roll on?